I spent $13,000 on a surprise dream vacation for my parents, and they kicked me out without even looking at me. So I walked out and took everything with me. What happened next? They didn't see it coming. My mother was slicing carrots, her eyes fixed on the cutting board when she mumbled, "What are you doing here?" My father let out a soft laugh from his spot at the table. "Didn't we say this was a family-only gathering this year?" I didn't respond. I just gave a faint smile, set the gift bag on the table, and walked out without a word. Half an hour later, my phone buzzed with notifications. Holiday catering order, canceled, vacation deposit, frozen, shared Netflix account, signed out. Then came my sister's text, "Are you for real?" I typed back. What stung the most wasn't what they said. It was the way they said it, like I was invisible, like I was some distant relative crashing their private party. I'd spent weeks orchestrating this. Late nights after work, scouring travel sites, comparing beach resort deals, cross-checking the guest list with my aunt, who insisted everyone would be there for the anniversary. And she wasn't lying. When I pulled into the driveway, 7 cars were parked, each one familiar. My cousins, their spouses, even Uncle Tom's rusted old SUV was there. But when I stepped inside, all I got was the sound of a knife cutting through carrots and a voice that didn't even bother to look at me. "What are you doing here?" She didn't stop chopping, didn't glance my way, like I'd intruded on something holy. And my dad, lounging at the kitchen table with his coffee and a newspaper, delivered the real blow. "Didn't we say this was a family-only gathering this year?" No humor, no warmth. Just a cold statement, like I wasn't part of that word anymore. Family. I was holding a gift bag black with gold tissue paper spilling out. Inside was a custom-made anniversary album I'd spent hours crafting, a handwritten note, and tucked at the bottom, a sleek envelope with 2 plane tickets to the Bahamas. 6 nights, oceanfront villa, private balcony, full spa package, everything they'd dreamed of doing someday when we can afford it. I'd made that someday real, and they didn't even let me speak. I didn't argue. Didn't ask for an explanation, didn't say a word. I just walked to the dining room, set the bag down gently like it might break, and left without looking back. My uncle noticed me from the couch and started to stand, but I kept moving. No one called after me. I drove 3 blocks before pulling over. I wasn't crying. I wasn't even mad yet. I was just done. Done trying, done acting like this treatment was okay. By the time I hit the highway, my phone was buzzing nonstop. Catering order canceled. Vacation payment blocked. Netflix account locked. And then my sister's text, "Are you for real?" I thought about how I'd just helped her clear a $2,000 loan for her new phone when she couldn't qualify. How she'd sobbed when I sent her the money to keep her car from being towed. "Are you for real?" I replied. Real doesn't even start to cover it. They didn't know about the Bahamas trip yet. Not a hint. No one did except Uncle Jim, who'd helped me book it and swore to keep it secret. I'd planned to reveal it during dinner after the toast. I'd even prepared a video of turquoise waves and sandy beaches to play on their TV. That was the vision. Now the vision had changed. Now I was done playing the good guy. They wanted to treat me like the spare battery they only noticed when the lights went out. Fine, I'd cut the power. And they had no idea how dark it was about to get. By evening, I could picture it like a scene I'd watched 1,000 times. My cousin Lisa would have been the one to open the gift bag. She's always nosy. She probably pulled out the note first, skimmed it, then spotted the envelope. Maybe someone teased, "Ooh, what's this?" before she revealed the tickets. Then silence. Then Uncle Paul, likely on his 4th beer, would have blurted, "Well, damn, Sarah really went all out, didn't she? She booked them a whole trip to the Bahamas." Just like that, no heads up, just thrown out like I was the hired help who forgot to clock in. My parents? I bet my mom froze with her fork halfway to her mouth. My dad probably leaned forward, trying to process what he just heard. And then it hit them. They just pushed their golden ticket out the door. I didn't need to be there to know how it played out. I'd seen versions of this my whole life. First the regret, then the frantic regrouping, then the damage control. But it didn't matter. While they were panicking and pointing fingers, I was at home, surrounded by a stillness I hadn't felt in years. The kind of quiet you only get when you block out the world. I made myself a plate of food, poured a glass of wine, silenced every app, and set my phone face down on the counter. Then I unplugged it entirely. I didn't want to see their names. Not a single one, no guilt. Not even a spark of it. They always found ways to make me feel small, even when I gave them everything. This time I'd given them something massive. A trip they'd talked about for years like it was a fantasy. And they didn't just shut me out. They didn't even ask why I was there. They didn't care. When I woke up the next morning, I plugged my phone back in to see the fallout. It lit up instantly. 19 missed calls. Voicemails from both parents, 4 from my sister. The texts were worse, long messages dripping with fake warmth. "Honey, we're so sorry. You didn't tell us. We didn't know." As if their sudden kindness could erase what happened. By the time I finished reading, someone knocked on my door. I knew who it was. I didn't open it right away, just watched through the peephole. Both of them dressed like they were heading to a funeral. My dad held a bag of pastries, still in the store packaging. My mom gripped a generic apology card, the kind you grab when you forget someone's birthday. They looked like salespeople pitching a bad deal. When I finally opened the door, they smiled like nothing was wrong. My mom stepped forward first. "We just want to talk." I let them in, mostly to see how long they'd keep up the act. They sat like visitors. My dad tried to joke about the traffic. My mom asked about my job. Then, predictably, they got to the point. She said it carefully, like she was handling glass. "You didn't cancel the trip, did you?" I didn't flinch. Told them it was gone, sold to someone else that morning. Their faces changed. The fake warmth vanished. They didn't say much after that, just sat there. I didn't explain, didn't reassure, didn't apologize. After a few uncomfortable minutes, they got up and left, leaving the pastries untouched. My dad said we'd talk later. My mom gave me a look like she was already planning her next move. I thought that was the end. I was wrong. Part 3. Retaliation. The only reason I noticed something was off was the way my car sat. It tilted forward, like it was bowing in defeat. For a moment, I thought I was imagining things. But as I pulled into my driveway, the streetlight caught it just right. Both front tires, slashed, not just flat, destroyed. I didn't get out right away. Just sat in the driver's seat, staring at the damage like it belonged to someone else's life. But I knew it wasn't random, not some bored teenager or a botched theft. This was personal. This was them. Only 2 people were spiteful enough and reckless enough to think this would send a message. And they'd been in my apartment hours earlier, all smiles and soft words, acting like they still had a hold on me because they thought I hadn't really canceled the trip. I went inside, didn't even kick off my shoes. Opened my laptop at the kitchen counter and got to work. First, the home improvement fund. My parents had been planning to renovate their basement into a rental unit for extra cash. They couldn't cover it, so I'd been chipping in. Quietly, every month, $1,500 into an account I'd set up for the project. They didn't know the exact amount, but they knew I was footing most of it. Stopped. Disabled future payments. Locked the account. Then my sister. She was barely scraping by at her new job, one she despised. For months, I'd been sending her $800 to cover rent so she wouldn't drown in debt. She never asked twice, just sent a heart emoji like that was enough. I opened the banking app, canceled the recurring transfer, erased the history, unlinked her account. Done. Next, the phone loan. She'd wanted a fancy new phone to fit in at work. I'd co-signed, got her the upgrade, and when she started missing payments, I took over. $2,200 total. I've been auto-paying it monthly without question. I logged in, removed my card, stopped autopay, let her deal with the next bill, then the streaming services, Disney+, Netflix, Max, Prime, Apple Music. They'd been using them for years without contributing a dime. Never asked, just logged in like they owned it. Family, right? I changed every password, signed out all devices. On Netflix, I renamed the profile to no more handouts. On Apple Music, I left only my account active. Finally, the contractor. He was set to start framing and flooring the basement next week. I'd prepaid for the initial work, but the rest was still due. I called him, told him to halt everything. I'd cover what was done, but no more. He didn't ask questions, just said, "Got it." It wasn't about vengeance. Not at first. It was about leveling the playing field. For once, I wanted to stop being the one who always said yes while they acted like I should thank them for the privilege. I had one last thing to check. I opened my security app and pulled up the footage from that evening. It didn't take long to find. At 7:08 p.m., a car parked across the street. Didn't pull into a spot, just idled. The passenger door opened. My dad, no hesitation, no glancing around. He walked to my car like he was checking his mailbox. Knelt down, stayed for about 25 seconds, moved to the other tire. Another 25 seconds, got back in the car. My mom was in the driver's seat. They pulled away. I didn't save the clip, didn't need to. Instead, I turned my phone back on. It lit up instantly, new texts from both of them. The tone had shifted. No more fake apologies. My mom, we need to talk. You're taking this too far. My dad, this is still your family. Don't burn it all down. My sister, what's going on? Why's my payment gone? I didn't respond to any of them, just sat in the dark, letting them feel what I'd felt for years. Ignored, unseen, unvalued. The next day was too quiet. No buzzing phone, no knocks at the door, not even a work email. It felt like the calm before a storm. By noon, I knew why. Another knock, sharp and impatient. I checked the peephole. My sister. Alone. I opened the door halfway, blocking her from stepping in. She didn't wait. "You stopped my payment?" No greeting, no softness. I said yes. Told her I'd cut off everything else too, rent, streaming, everything. Told her to ask Mom and Dad why. She glared like I'd betrayed her. "You're punishing me for their mess." I let the silence linger. Then I asked, "Did you speak up when they told me to leave? Did you defend me, ever?" She didn't answer. Just looked away. Then she tried a new tactic. "You think slashing your own family's tires is normal?" I blinked. "You think I don't know it was them? You think I don't have it on camera?" That shut her up. She fidgeted with her bracelet, then muttered, "Mom said you wouldn't go to the police." That was it. I stepped back, told her I was done, and shut the door, not loudly, just final. 5 minutes later, my phone lit up again. More texts from my mom, apologies, excuses, stories that didn't add up. My dad sent some garbage about needing to let off steam. They were scrambling, desperate to stop me from doing what they thought I might. Then came something unexpected. A text from my cousin Ryan, who I hadn't talked to in years. "Hey, check Facebook. Uncle Mike posted something odd." I did. Uncle Mike, who barely knows how to use social media, had gone off. A long, bitter post about selfish kids and fake family bonds and how even the kindest soul can be ruined by greed. He didn't name me, but he didn't have to. Everyone in the family group chat would know. The comments were worse. Aunts, cousins, people I hadn't seen in years piling on. No wonder she wasn't invited. Always acting superior. Throws money around but no loyalty. I scrolled through, watching the attack unfold in real time. Then I saw it, the comment that stopped me cold. "I think we deserve those tickets, not her. My mom, not in a private message." In the comments under Uncle Mike's post, like she forgot I could see it. I stared at it for a full minute. Then I grabbed my phone, not to respond, not to argue, to post. I uploaded one screenshot, the plane tickets, the full itinerary, the total cost, $12,837.19. Caption: "This was their gift. They said family only." Guess they meant something different. Then I turned my phone off again, let them choke on it. By the next morning, my post had exploded. I didn't tag anyone, didn't name names. Just the screenshot and a line. But the right people saw it, and the ones who didn't were quickly clued in. By noon, I had 25 unread messages. By 1 p.m., 48. By 2, a voicemail from Uncle Mike, his voice softer than his Facebook rant. He wanted to sort things out. Said he didn't know the whole story. Sure. The family chat was a mess. Half the cousins were backing me. The other half were backtracking, pretending they hadn't said anything. Screenshots were everywhere, and my cousin Emily, the group admin, finally shut it down and messaged me privately. "It's a war zone." I hadn't left my couch. Around 3 p.m., another knock. My parents. They didn't wait for me to answer, just kept ringing the bell, knocking over and over. I didn't move. After 6 minutes, an envelope slid under the door. When they left, I opened it. A messy handwritten note from my dad. He said they were sorry. They weren't thinking straight. It wasn't meant to go this far. The last line, "We've dreamed of that trip for 35 years. Don't punish us for one slip-up." I laughed. One slip-up? I could have filled a book with their slip-ups. Half an hour later, the contractor called. My dad had tried to take over the basement payments. His card was declined 3 times. Then the phone carrier called. My sister's payment bounced. Her line would be cut off in 48 hours if she didn't pay. They were falling apart. That evening, my cousin Lisa texted. She said my mom called her, crying, begging her to convince me to reinstate just the tickets. Said she could handle the rest crumbling, but the trip was everything. I didn't reply. I didn't even consider it until the next day when I went to grab groceries and saw my house. Spray paint, not huge but unmistakable. Selfish. Red letters, all caps, on the wall near my back door. That was it. They weren't done. When guilt didn't work, they tried shame. When shame failed, they turned to vandalism. I filed a police report, not expecting much, just to have it documented. Then I called a painter for a quote. $1,100 to clean, prime, and repaint the wall. I knew who used to help with house repairs. And I knew none of them would get another penny. They wanted to tear it all down? Fine. Let's see how they handled the fallout. By the end of the week, the group chat was dead. No jokes. No baby photos. No event reminders. Just silence, like the family had finally admitted it was never a family. I got a courtesy call from the police saying they'd logged the vandalism and would keep an eye out. Meaning, they'd do nothing unless I caught someone with paint on their hands. I didn't care. The painter fixed the wall the next day. While he worked, I sat on my porch with a coffee, flipping through old photos of gatherings where I was always the one paying and planning. They always grinned wide when they were getting something. Not anymore. The last message came Saturday morning. My dad, a voice note because texts weren't cutting it. He said they'd messed up. They'd lost control. I'd misread their reaction in the kitchen. It was meant to be a joke. Then, after a long pause, the real reason. We can't afford that trip ourselves. You know we'll never get a chance like that again. He tried to sound broken, but I heard the blame beneath it. That afternoon, I called the travel agency, explained the situation, said I'd already sold the package to a colleague. They were kind, said I could send a formal cancellation notice to the original recipients if I wanted. I didn't. Let them stew. Then I logged into the bank and made one final move. I had a joint emergency fund with my parents. They rarely touched it, but it was their safety net. They assumed I'd always keep it funded. I drained it. $14,000. Moved to a new account under a name they'd never trace. That night my mom texted, "If you don't help, everything collapses." She was right. The basement renovation stalled. The contractor walked away. My sister's phone was cut off. She was using a prepaid phone now, probably bought with her last few bucks. The group chat never recovered. Cousins started talking behind closed doors, realizing they might have backed the wrong horse. And me. I started sleeping better. The worst part wasn't the slashed tires, the graffiti, or their endless victim act. It was realizing I'd spent years giving everything, and they only cared when I was useful. Now they needed a lifeline. And I was done throwing ropes. 3 months later, the silence held. I didn't expect them to stay quiet this long, but hitting rock bottom has its own kind of hush. Then last Tuesday, a letter arrived. Not a bill, not junk mail. Handwritten, no return address. The writing was unsteady, like someone had used their weaker hand to disguise it. One line, "Grandma wants to talk. She's not well." I hadn't seen my grandmother in nearly a year. Last I knew, she was still sharp, still tending her roses, still the only one who never asked for a dime. She stayed out of the drama, always watching, never commenting, so I called her. She answered on the 4th ring like she'd been expecting me. We talked for 20 minutes. She didn't mention the Bahamas, didn't bring up the group chat, the tires, or the Facebook mess. Instead, she asked for help, not with money or errands. She wanted to sell her house, said she was done watching the circus. She was moving to a senior condo upstate and didn't trust anyone else in the family to handle it. I said yes immediately. The next day, my cousin Ryan called out of nowhere. "You talked to Grandma?" I said yeah. He paused, then said, "She's leaving the house to you. You know that, right?" I didn't. Turns out she'd rewritten her will 2 months ago. Cut out my mom, Uncle Mike, half the relatives who were circling like vultures, waiting to carve up her property. I didn't ask for it, I didn't expect it, but it was done. So, what are your thoughts on this story? Do you agree with what happened, or do you see it differently? Let us know your opinion in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. And if you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you don't miss any of our upcoming stories.